Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another video. So, there have been some changes again overnight. Obviously, not much, like no drastic changes, but there have been some changes to the liquidity pools, which I think are interesting. The changes that we're seeing are we've seen increased liquidity above us, basically since when was this? Like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. yesterday. So I'll just show you in hour terms because my time's probably different to yours. So 1 hour, from 1 day, 16 hours, there's been a massive increase of liquidity above us. You can see here, here, all the way. This is at like $115,000 sort of region. There's been an increase in liquidity there. There's also been an increase in liquidity around 112,000. But since last night, actually, so since probably about 17 hours ago, so maybe yesterday afternoon, the low that we put in, we started to see an increase in liquidity here, which is all below us between $100,700 and $104,000. There's been an increase in like a small amount of liquidity. Then what we're actually seeing is a larger increase at around the $100,200 region. So if we zoom in, look what we can see. Sorry, I should zoom in that much so you can just keep the perspective that here, look, we can see here more dense liquidity in that 100,000. If I go too close, you see it gets rid of the liquidity above us, so it makes the liquidity look much more deep below. But that makes me think more to the point of like, are we going to get a double bottom sort of structure? Can we just flush this? But then if we zoom out a little bit more, what we can also see is down here at the like 94, 95K, we're starting to see liquidity come in here. So just a refresher for some people, I get asked quite a lot, what is this liquidity? These positions are where people who are, if it's below us, it's people in long positions that will get stopped out or liquidated. And if it's above us, it's people in short positions that get stopped out and liquidated. 80% of the time, price is manipulated into this area by high frequency trading bots, whales and exchanges. It's where the exchanges make all their money because every single time a long or short position is opened or closed, they make money on the sale of a contract of that position. So that's why it happens. There's the logic behind it. So that's something I want to flag to you guys. Now, I've been talking about this over on X, and people are saying what this is screaming for is a push up into the liquidity above us first and then below for Bitcoin. And I don't know if it is screaming for that or not. I mean, I don't know if it's emotional bias from me and whether I don't want that to happen. But contradicting that is ETH and XRP, as we discuss a lot. Like if we just look at ETH now, for example, on the hourly, I mean, look at this price action for ETH. Like the hourly is literally going sideways. It's moved between $2,500 and $2,530 for 24 hours almost. For flipping ages. I don't really understand how it's that dense in price. 12 hours, sorry. $30 price swing in 12 hours. But for ETH, what we can see is just make this a bit better, like a bit more. For ETH, what we can see is the densest area of liquidity is below us, and that just keeps building. So from, what did we say, like a 24-hour sort of period, 1 day, 16 hours or something, we've just seen more and more and more liquidity build below us in this sort of same price range between about $2,250 and $2,300. And as I always say, when you hit those deep areas of liquidity, you do normally go a little bit lower. That's because you're closing those contracts and those positions, which if you close like a long position, it makes you sell short, and that pushes the price down a little bit more. If you close a short position, it makes you buy. So that basically means that when you that's why you get like a short squeeze. When you get into those shorts, then they have to start closing, and then essentially they have to buy. Same with longs. If you get into longs, they essentially have to sell. And that's why the price like goes a little bit lower. So when you have the liquidity pocket like this, you're probably looking at the price going like just below, something like that. Could go a little bit lower because there's a bit more liquidity there. But mainly like what often happens is this is like the area we move into, and then there's just a wick that comes in. It could go wherever it goes, like down to 2,000 for example for ETH. I do want it to come down first. I want it to come down first. That's my want because I'm mainly spot crypto. I'm putting in longs in these areas where we're seeing this liquidity. And that's what I'd like to see, because then we get our longs filled and we can rally to the upside. And I think out the back of this, as I've been saying, and nothing's changed, I think we see significant price action to the upside. We saw the Genius bill passed. Well, we just need to pass the House. We saw like Thailand bring in no capital gains tax, for example, on crypto. Just going back now to charts, looking at XRP. XRP's confluence with ETH. Deep liquidity. It's been building. Let's see from where. This is the densest liquidity time. It's been building for like nearly 2 days. Same sort of thing. Really deep below us. But we are starting to get more liquidity above us too. So that's people starting to get in short positions now when we're at this price. Maybe trying to catch this little flush down. But what I'd like to see again, if we take this liquidity below us, it could come down to the 180 sort of level potentially. Too much data, my computer's struggling. Because what I think will happen is you'll take the liquidity and then you have to close those positions out, which could give us that wick down, high 180s, and then go. And the other thing that I've actually noticed here is, if we look at the bottom of the screen, is open interest. During this time, open interest has actually been rising while price has been falling. We haven't got too many other metrics on this chart. I'm going to look at Velo in a second and show you some other things, but I would suggest that is actually people going long near the lows. Because you can see more dense liquidity coming in here, you can see more dense liquidity coming in here, and obviously there is some liquidity coming in above us, so there are obviously people building on both sides of the spectrum. But if we take the lows first, it gives us more aggressive move to the upside when that comes, essentially. That's my thought process there for XRP. Let's have a look on the daily. It does look a bit different, and the daily proves to you guys what I've been saying about liquidity. The daily shows here, this is what, I say 80% of the time move into dense areas of liquidity. When we came into this range for XRP, we first moved down into the first dense area of liquidity, as you can see on the left of my screen here. Then we accumulated, we moved up into the next area of liquidity, and then we came down. We look at that wick. That wick's exactly what I'm talking about here. From 257, we wicked all the way down to 179, just wicked into the liquidity, came back up, built some more liquidity above us. The candle came up, we pushed that liquidity out. Then liquidity started building below us here. We came and touched that. And then liquidity built below us again. We wicked through all that liquidity. We took it all and we started to build again. We consolidated. Liquidity started to build above us. We took a lot of it and now liquidity is building below. I think we'll flush this liquidity below, and then I think we'll go through all of this above us, because look what's building above us. Absolutely tons above us now on the daily. That's what I think happens. I'd love to see us go low first, because then it means like everything's clear for a push towards all-time highs and this alt season, the elusive alt season that we're looking for. That's basically my thought process. And look how close we are to this liquidity now. Let's just get that little flush out the way and get us moving and sailing off into the sunset. Now, looking on the hourly, we were talking about that rise in open interest I've just talked about there. What we can see is the same rise here on Velo. You can see that funding rates are positive and that premium is actually getting a bit less, like it got a bit less during this period as this rose. And that suggests to me more longs than shorts coming into the market, meaning that I think that we're probably going to sweep those lows at some point. That's what I'd like to see. One last and final chart that I wanted to point out to you guys, I mentioned it over on X yesterday, is Hyperliquid. I think Hyperliquid looks pretty weak. I'm going to take it to the daily time frame. What you can see on Hype is significant rise in open interest as price has been going up. It's lost a key trend line here. Let's just show you this. It's lost a key trend, and if you look at it on a standard chart, I'm just going to take you to it quickly on a standard chart. We have let's just get on the daily quickly, the daily time frame. We've got a bearish divergence where the RSI makes a lower high, price makes a higher high, and then we've lost a key trend. I would expect a pullback on Hype to about the $27 mark, which would go in hand with the rest of the things I'm talking about. Hype's been one of the best performing alts so far the last few weeks. As you can literally see, it's been grinding upwards, and I think that is due a correction. It looks like it's due a correction. And I think that speaks for the crypto space in general right now. Let's see if we get this. For Hype, it's like a 30% move-ish. I'm not actually short on it or anything. I will look to get short on Hype if we do have a little bit of a pump, but because 20%, 28% on the downside is pretty good. But I think the main thing to be doing here is having your limit orders set for longs, because it could just be that wick and then no more. Like, it could be a wick just to flush out that liquidity and no more. So if you're trying to wait for a bottom, you might not get it. If you have your bid set, comes down, fills your bid, and then off it goes. That's the perfect scenario that we want. Whether we get that or not, like, it never is perfect, obviously, but that's exactly what I'm looking for. The last thing I will say is just on a geopolitical level. Like, I'm not a geopolitical expert, but I'm just going to give my opinion. I just said it's funny how Trump visited the Middle East, traveled to the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman, making deals with those countries and investing in each other. Did they discuss a potential conflict with Iran? And who provided who with information? Did the US say they were going to do something to Iran via Israel, or did the Middle Eastern countries say this is what we think is going on in Iran, and that triggered an action? I don't know. I obviously wrote about that in the news. I wrote about basically tariffs being a call to arms in the newsletter about 2 months ago. And I think it's funny at the same time how this war is going on and Europe and the US are getting closer to a trade deal. And then finally, I just wanted to say that, again, I'm not a geopolitical expert. I'm not trying to make a prediction, but technically I've been calling for this pullback in crypto for weeks, maybe for months, for those of you who've been watching this YouTube channel and reading my newsletter. And so far, the conflict hasn't caused the pullback that I want, and it makes me think there could be an escalation one way or another. It's hard to see how else the narrative will shift when things look so strong in terms of the macro environment for crypto. So I'm basically saying there probably is going to be a narrative. Like, you say this every day, there's probably going to be an increased narrative. The narrative is probably going to cause a flush. When it happens, I don't know. Could we pump first? Yes. When it happens, I don't know. But it's the time to buy, in my opinion. And then after that, I think we're probably going to go into a massive bull market for crypto. Could be days, could be weeks, could be low months. I think it's most likely days or weeks away for the flush. And then normally after a flush, you do get a little bit of chopping as people are panicking. The sentiment feels awful and trying to work out if the bottom's in or not in or whatever. Still normally a great time to buy, and then sail off into the sunset in the second half of the year. That's my thought process. That's where I am. That's where I stand. I try and report to you honestly every single day. As much as a lot of things aren't changing, we're seeing slight movements like in liquidity, and that can tip that balance. We're seeing large geopolitical events happening at the same time, so the narrative backs the price action potentially. Right, with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do subscribe to the channel. A lot of you watch this and don't subscribe, so come on, boys and girls. Share it with a friend, and let me know if you've got any questions in the comment section below. If you do want to trade leverage, I have a link to WeX, who give you 20% bonus on any deposit over $100, and a link to MEXC in my description of this video. Peace up, A-Town down, as Crypto Insight UK would say.